Mesh intercom on. Open mesh. Channel 1.
I fly the Micro Avionics on the Team Wendy setup.
Yeah.
Again, out the box, ready to vlog.
Very good setup.
Check, 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 check. I can hear you.
Also, I run a Cena externally. And then occasionally, I'll put an adapter to the Cena so that I could run an external audio recording pack so I can record our conversations together. I have like this bundle of zip-tied mess in the back. It's just a nightmare.
See if I can get a little foot drag with the Instant 360.
You got it, you got it.
Oh, my wrong foot.
My biggest concern is to have a single wire setup. And so that was something that I really prided myself in making as clean of a version that I could. I've dubbed them the Paracoms.
Oh, and it looks clean as heck. You did a great job.
Thank you.
All right, that was a clap sync. We're really doing it here.
It's gonna be fun.
Welcome back to the Aviator Show. It's Reese and what a very special Life After Aviator Show episode with my buddy Kele Stanley, who has an interesting background connection with me through FPV, first person drones. Now you started training here at Aviator, what was it, September 22?
That's correct.
And talk to us a little bit about that training.
Yeah, I came down September into October of 22, did my training with AJ and Fletch, and it was a great experience. I really got a personal touch, I think. AJ and I were friends from FPV, but yeah, it was a great experience, and I mean, life has been completely different since then.
That's what this episode's all about, Life After Aviator. How does paramotoring really change your life? And we were touching upon FPV, first-person view drones. That is something that not a lot of people know about.
Yeah, FPV was a huge part of my life for about 5 years, operating commercially through various companies, and then building skill through FPV. It's how AJ and I met and kind of developed into this, but it was a really awesome experience getting to build drones and learn to solder better and all of the things that would come along with the progression of drones and flight controllers and all of the things that have changed over the last years, you know, keeping up with that technology and having a blast while doing it, and even at times, you know, making a career out of it. FPV is definitely a great gateway into this. A lot of our FPV friends are, you know, transitioning.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Right. Who was it that first really got into it from the FPV? Steel?
Yeah, Steel.
One of the biggest names in FPV freestyle.
Yeah, there's lots of different guys in there. The whole flight test crew.
That's right.
They all enjoy paramotoring too. In fact, if you go to the flight test facility, there are paramotors there. It's pretty neat.
Oh, that's right, in Ohio. Is that where you're from?
Yep, I'm from Ohio. Yeah, the Springfield, Ohio, which is near the Cincinnati, Dayton area. Flight test has been there in Minerva for many years, and since they moved to that new golf course, they've got all kinds of space, and it's a pretty cool place to go.
It was really cool. I got to go there with Eric Farewell in year one, just getting introduced to paramotoring and traveling around the country, seeing how awesome the FPV, well, really the paramotor community is. It just didn't dawn on me that FPV would be ever a part of this as well. And you kind of touched upon something that really hit home for me, was that it's kind of a gateway, because when you are young, you might see an RC airplane. I think that's where it starts, is like maybe just dreaming about what that airplane's seeing. You know, you're out there controlling it, and you're just imagining what it's like to fly. And then you put a camera on it, and that's what FPV is, where you're putting a camera in the cockpit and you're seeing exactly what that airplane's seeing in real time and piloting it from that.
Yeah.
And now you can get a little bit more of a perspective of what it's like to be buzzing around, flying, zipping, having very limited limitations. And then you go to FPV freestyle, where there's the hats off. You know, you could go inverted, dive skyscrapers, power loop buildings, you know.
It's a pretty cool hobby, and it does allow you to get a sight picture, if you want to call it that, of what it looks like from above. Not necessarily like paramotoring by any means, but like you said, it gives you the ability to fly from a cockpit while not actually sitting in said cockpit.
Paramotoring is FPV in real life.
In real life,
You just made it IRL.
100% agree with that. Yeah.
And so what I'm a big advocate for is getting young people into aviation,
Yeah.
which paramotoring does a great job. I think drones does an even better job just because it's more readily available, right? That's your first step.
Yeah, it's a little more cost effective for people just starting out to try and dabble into flight. And so once you develop those skills, I think that it is a great gateway into the in real life flying, and gives you a great perspective on what it takes to fly and conditions and things like that. You're still calculating for wind direction and things like that when you're
Battery
flying.
life equals fuel life, right?
All
You got to
of the
make it
things.
home.
Yeah, absolutely. So it definitely helps build the mentality of manned aviation, just flying those drones. So.
And then, transforming your passion to a hobby, or your hobby into a career, like you did with FPV and drones, and going into the commercial industry, you're actually using your skills that you've acquired through FPV by soldering and a little bit of a computer science there to develop some headsets for the industry.
Yeah, I've dubbed them the Paracoms. They're essentially a multi-version final product, if you want to call it that. I had a lot of input from friends on what they're using and things that have made them successful with, communications via, these electronics in the air. And I went with the Cena stuff because it seems to be the most common denominator that are inside of, the headsets that are being built. My biggest concern is to have a single wire setup. So that way you don't have things hanging off of the helmet or snag hazards. And we've all seen those helmets that, have a thing duct taped to the side of it. And so that was something that I really prided myself in making as clean of a version that I could. And that actually requires taking this unit apart, fully decasing it and soldering to some of the pins that are on the board. And then, we wire them into these headsets or these cups and wire the buttons in so everything is external. You can turn things on and off. You can use the mesh system, which is really unique. Mesh is pretty cool with paramotoring because, not like the Bluetooth communications that a lot of people are used to, with the introduction of mesh, it allows you to essentially turn it on and then everything just connects. If you're on the same channel, you can just start talking, and anybody that's on that channel will hear you talking.
Can you hear me good? Yeah, I can hear you fine.
At the end of the day, you can literally turn it on and talk to your buddy who's
It's about
flying
ease
right
of
next to
use,
you.
right? We've all been on, or a few of us have motorcycles, and you
Yeah.
just can't get the Bluetooth to connect, especially if you're on a different branded headset, and it's just a nightmare. So the ease of use, which a lot of paramotor pilots were all about, efficiency and just, less complications is better.
Yeah.
To see it in that form is really unique. So that's awesome. I'm stoked that you're bringing new products to the industry as I fly the Micro Avionics on a Team Wendy setup.
Yeah.
Again, out the box, ready to vlog.
Very good setup.
Right. Except there's some caveats, right? The wind noise and the motor noise is a lot. They're not dampening enough there that I felt a little bit more pressure or something could help. Also, I run a Cena externally, so I have plenty wires. I have in-ear audio set up for my Bluetooth through my Cena. I have the vlog set up through the Micro Avionics. And then occasionally I'll put an adapter to the Cena so that I could run an external audio recording pack so I can record our conversations together. So that's not just one-sided.
Right.
So that is a lot on a helmet.
Yeah, it sure is. And that's something that I integrated into this. It has a GoPro output, which is direct from the mic. So a lot of headsets that I've seen that are just direct off the market, if you're trying to record or vlog and you only want to have your voice in the GoPro footage, it's unfortunate because a lot of these headsets will actually, if you're listening to music, you'll hear the music in the GoPro footage. That's something that with this particular headset, it's just a direct mic to GoPro. Then it also feeds into the Cena system. So if you're making a phone call or you're talking on comms, Now the caveat to that is that, say you were having a conversation with somebody else, the audio from them doesn't run into your microphone input. So there's, little caveats here and there that make it better or worse, whichever you consider. But at the end of the day, it's kind of checks all the boxes that I personally wanted, and I think that a lot of people are looking for, in the headsets. Another addition that I did with mine specifically is I put some earbuds in. So we got these little earbuds, and they're just wired direct in, and they just bypass the speaker, and mainly because I'm trying to save my hearing for as long as possible. Paramotors are just loud, and so having a second layer of protection was another important thing to me. So they've been, over time, just slowly developing into what they are now, and so I have this particular set. As you can see, I'm building a set for another pilot now, and then additionally I've been dabbling into adding in some noise canceling headphones, which is a very difficult process and more soldering and more wires, but at the end of the day, that's, I think, what people are going to want. And while it definitely drives up the cost, it's a significant difference in what you're hearing while you're flying, and ability to hear your music and not the motor, or hearing your radio or gaggle telling you that there's an airplane nearby, or any of those things. It'll just make that experience better.
Now, what is the end goal? Are we going to see these potentially, you're doing these one-offs, which is something that you can handle.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would be the end goal for you?
You know what, I don't really have a plan to make a business out of making headsets.
Right,
There's not a lot of money in it, and I'm just really doing it for the fun. And honestly, if I can put one of these on someone's head, that just means that maybe if we fly together someday, we'll be able to talk.
That's it.
And to me, that's enough. So sure, I make a little bit of extra coin for my time in building them, but I'm not out here trying to, build a business out of it. It's just simply, I wanted a product that fit my needs, and it seems like everybody else is kind of enjoying them. People just ask when they see things, they're like, hey, let me try that out.
Oh, that's the one caveat of potentially having the best helmet on the field. When you're ready to fly, someone's definitely borrowing your helmet.
Man, I had one guy just snag it off of the shelf and had to go look for it one day. So yeah, it's become a pretty
I still
popular...
don't know where my helmet is.
Well, I'll tell you what, Reese, whenever you want to try it out, you're more than welcome to do so.
Oh man, mine has like a giant windsock on the microphone. It's got so much. If yours is a 1 wire, mine is a 15 wire. I have like this bundle of zip tied mess in the back.
That's what I was trying to stick away from.
Oh, and it looks clean as heck. You did a great job. Thank you for your time and dedication to bring something unique and innovative to the sport. It's obviously, again, adding the dedication that you take to turn your hobby into something more. Your internship also provides a lot of time away from family, which is difficult. Your wife, also a paramotor pilot.
Yeah.
Shout out to
she trained in March.
Yeah.
She's about 50 hours in, and we're just having a blast. It's pretty rad. She also has a helmet with this particular setup, and it's pretty awesome to go up and just be flying next to each other and talking the whole time, and hey, let's go dip over here and do this.
It enhances the experience no matter what, right? So like even just flying with my buddies, you just want to say something to them and you try to give them a hand motion. It never works out.
Doesn't translate.
Yeah, it intensifies the fun, especially on a long cross country.
Yeah.
I just had an experience going from Sebring to Lake Wales where a rocket launch happened, and we didn't expect it. I looked over my shoulder, I kind of got nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get shot down. And sure enough, it was this SpaceX rocket right behind my neighbor and good friend Roman. Oh, yeah. And I was like, look behind you. I was on comms with the Cena in the mesh, and got this great shot of him.
Awesome.
And it wouldn't have happened. He would have never seen this rocket. We were in the air together. It was only there for a split second. As you know, it goes pretty fast into space. Yeah, so kudos. Love it. Yeah,
it's pretty
Interning, the dedication. We're actually in the tail end of a class that you're a part of.
Yeah, just a few days left.
Tell me the things that logistically that has to happen when you become an intern, the time that you spend out here.
But this is my second round of interning here. The first time was really awesome. We just had a small class of 2. So it was a very personable experience. But typically I'll set myself aside at least 2.5 weeks. I've got to get down here, whether I'm staying in a camper or at an Airbnb, got to figure out those logistics. But once we're here, we really start dialing in, these skills that we need to teach these guys. And it's been a really cool experience, and I learn more every time that I'm here. I learn more skills, I learn to kite better. It's just a progressive bettering of skills for myself and for my students, or the students that I'm helping with. It's really cool to see them come in. As we were just out in the field kiting a bit ago, and
it's windy.
It's pretty windy today. And I said it's awesome to see you guys go from these little guppies to like now you're fish swimming in the pond. It's pretty daggone cool to see them.
My favorite day is day one, when you go out the kite and they got the heaviest hands and they're Frankensteining it up, or arms way out here.
Yep.
And that wing's just doing everything that they don't want it to do. And now they're just out there, dainty little hands and just weight shifts or moves that just keeps that wing rock solid above them.
Yeah, it's really cool to see the skills click.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the best explanation for it, is that all of a sudden it's just like something changes and they realize that this does that. Oh my goodness, that makes a world of difference than whatever they were doing before.
Right.
So it is a really cool thing to watch them go from heavy hands to feather fingers and kiting with the brake lines and that's pretty awesome.
Favorite part about the sport?
Honestly, right now, I think just getting other people into it. I love flying. I love doing, wingy dingies, as we call them, and that stuff. But at this point, I just love getting new people into it and getting them comfortable and active and encouraging them to get out and fly once they've ran through training and stuff.
So you do that by interning.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do it through filmmaking. Yeah. It's not necessarily my flying. Although with the STOL competition, I might have a pedestal.
That's a friendly competition. It's been a lot of fun. Every time that it's windy outside, the words STOL comp come out, and it's just a laugh, and it's fun. And we got out there the other day, and I got my first. We'll call it a turtle. I'll accept that I turtled, but it's just a friendly comp that comes out. And if there's a line and 4 people out there, we're gonna try and beat each other's, stomp downs and takeoffs. So
it's neat because you would not have parachuted the wing. You would not have been in a situation to have turtled if you weren't aiming for that line. It really is pushing pilots that are really skillful to their limits, and in a safe way, because you full stalled that wing, but you were on the ground.
Yeah.
And because you wanted to hold that ground, you didn't reverse kite it quickly enough, and it just happened that. So it's unique to learn from that and grow through this competition, where a lot of people like Brennan are stepping out of their comfort zones a little bit. Is a good thing to a certain degree, right? We're not just jumping off a 1,000-foot tower and inflating a wing and let's send it just to send it. Right. No, this is a controlled environment at an airport where it's just fun to hang out.
Yep, and we progress each time we do that. If you're not out there doing it, you're not going to get better at it. And just like you said, if there's a line there, there's a competition to be had. And especially with someone like yourself, the more I've hung out with you, Reese, the more I've realized you're that little brother or big brother, whatever, that's like, you want to race? It's always a competition. And that's fun because friendly competition like that builds skill. You're not going to get better unless you're out there doing it with someone that's better than you, that you can take lessons from, or have battles with, to where you're pushing yourself a little further to do things that maybe you wouldn't do otherwise.
Smooth seas never made a skilled sailor, right?
That's right.
I've just been waiting to say it, but the caveat is, in our sport, I as a filmmaker, I want to push the limits. I want to find some creative, unique to do. With FPV, it's awesome because you really are limitless. You can dive a building and crash a drone, and you can just go pick up the pieces and rebuild it.
Yep.
Problem is, with our industry and paramotoring, you are potentially risking a life if you're going to do dumb stuff.
Yep.
So I think the STOL is a really happy place for filmmaking and for creative flying. The next thing would be spot landing. I think maybe putting some bowling pins out. You might see that coming down the line, which would be really cool.
I have yet to get to do that, so I highly encourage that that kind of activity. It sounds like a lot of fun. It looks like a lot of fun, and definitely a skill builder too.
Absolutely. We got some inflatable pins. The problem is we've been testing them, and they do pop when you hit the propeller.
Yeah.
And so we're just trying to figure out how we, because they're not cheap, right? So we're trying to just make sure they last the longest so that we can implement it.
Sure.
Just tell the viewers where they can find you and follow your journey.
I'm on Instagram. That's probably the most active social media platform that I'm on. It's at @OnlyButtFans with a Z. Z.
Yeah.
And that's just something that I created or called, to give this stuff a name. Be able to make t-shirts or whatever, and have people laugh about it.
Well, thank you so much, Kele, man. Awesome time. And if you're interested in learning the paramotor trait or skill or passion, just reach out to us here at Aviator Paramotor. I'm Reese Dockhand.
Kele Stanley.
This is the Aviator Show.